What was the most stupid thing you did because you were horny? Got in the car at 8 p.m. on a Thursday night and drove 400 miles to Colorado to see a girl. Then drove back out at 3 p.m. on Friday. Stayed up for like 30 hours total, most of which was driving. Still got laid though. Young horny stupid teenager. Just experimented with anal play around that time. Like it. Oh, no toys. No bananas or cucumbers or anything phallic shaped. Fingers are weird. Don't like. Look around. Hey, that little tomato looks smooth. Tomato was smooth. Until it broke open. That's the day I learned tomatoes are acidic. Very acidic. Put isohit on my D. Fun fact, do not put isohit on your D. Signed up for a subscription porn site because it seemed like it'd be way better than the free amazing porn all over the internet. Jerked off with hand sanitizer. I was 10 or 11, had just discovered Jack in it and thought, hey, this is wet and slippery, it would probably be good lube. It was absolutely not good lube. Got back with an ex. Several times. Put my D in the family peanut butter. I threw it away but my dad found it. We were both upset. Ducked myself with a brush. My boyfriend usually goes down on me before having sex and coming inside of me. One day he said that I always came first and that he wanted to come first then he'd go down. I asked if he wanted to come on me. He insisted that he come inside me. And as promised, he went down after. He doesn't ask for that anymore. Got married and had 2 kids with the worst person possible. Had sex with someone I was not into. If I could, I would delete, 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 and then probably backspace a few times and delete again. Made a flesh tub with a can, 2 sponges, and a condom. Being horny and stupid is not something you do once, it is a lifestyle. So this is gonna sound pretty ducked up, but when I was a kid one time I put one of those really big black ants down my pants and let it crawl around on my junk. The ant bit my balls and when I tried to pull him off, his head detached from his body and was just stuck on my balls. Heated up a hot pocket to a lukewarm temperature. You can use your imagination to fill in the blanks. Discovered what a cock ring is. Heard it squeezes your D to make it feel better while jacking off. Thought a rubber band would be the same. Made it really tight around my cock and balls and went to town. Kept it on too long for maybe an hour. I went to a urologist to make sure everything is good but I still feel a little indent around where I put it on my shaft. No worries though. Still works great. Still gets super hard. And nothing is damaged. Ducked my girlfriend's best friend while high on sugar. Tried to bang one of those weird roly things that were liquid filled and real popular in the 90s around the first time I started jerking it and thinking of any household item I could put my wiener in. I tried to masturbate in my living room. I was like under 14 at the time. And I had a full family. So I got caught pretty quickly. Even though I was totally inconspicuous, I was doing it under a blanket, which made me look like a volcano, where the land was the blanket and my head was the smoke coming out of it. You know, like how everyone wears a blanket, not to mention the suspiciously placed vibrations. I was given the talk immediately after. The worst part was that my little sister was in the room, so Lord knows what thoughts went through my parents' heads when they caught me. Friend of mine took acid, then punched a hole in his wall and stuck his D in it. Jokes on him though. There was fiberglass insulation in the wall. Went down on my good friend's ex-GF in a walk-in closet at a party he was hosting. Rubbed one out during a fight in Iraq. My boyfriend and I were in a long-distance relationship in college. He drove his parents' car to visit me and he got $2.60 parking tickets in 1 hour on Friday night. He got the first ticket and moved the car to another illegal parking area. Because it was his parents' car, they got the notices in the mail. And his dad said, okay, so obviously your blood was going somewhere besides your head last Friday evening. I guess you're gonna miss the panty raid. Me and my best friend went out for drinks and later went to his buddy's house where I ended up getting blackout drunk and apparently told a girl that she wasn't pretty enough for my best friend to cheat on his girlfriend and then caused a bit of a scene. Later that night me and that same girl ended up having sex in the bathroom. where I ripped my foreskin and made the bathroom look like a horror film and had an awkward ER visit the next morning. Ended up having sex in an unlocked practice room at the College of Music at the university me and my girlfriend attended, in the middle of the afternoon on a weekday. No, we aren't exhibitionists. We were just really horny. Neither of our homes was available for use, and, well, we considered the library. But she remembered a story where some couple had gotten arrested for public indecency there the week prior, so we opted for the practice room. No one walked in on us or anything, but the fact that everyone stared at us from their doorways on our way out let us know we hadn't been particularly stealthy about what we'd been up to. Learned that the don't stick your D in crazy rule also applies to your fingers. I had to sit in the car in the parking lot while my mom was working. I was a young teen at the time. She left her unlocked BlackBerry in the car, so I opened up a private tab and whacked off. The fact that I did it while parked in the front of the building in the middle of the day without getting caught is a miracle. Man, I have quite the story. So, wee little me, I was 17 at the time, had one of the most ridiculous bouts of morning tree and I could not get it away. I tried everything from the engorged sponge to straight whacking away. I couldn't shake it off. So it hit me. You know biscuits feel almost like tissue, right? I did. I heated up the biscuits, sliced them open, poured some jelly on the insides then collapsed them onto my penga. I ducking screamed as I realized the biscuits were just heated up and my parents rushed to the kitchen to find lil me with jelly and biscuit wrapped around my poncha. Jesus Christ, I was never so embarrassed in my life. Edit. Thanks for the gold, kind stranger. Ducked in a graveyard once. We were young and dumb and sure it would be secluded. I still feel pretty itty that I did it and it was years ago now. Had been out of a long-term relationship for about 46 hours. It's 1 AM and I Uber over to some guy's hotel room. Turns out it was him and his partner. We had a three-way. Left almost immediately after we all finished. Left my $800 bike unlocked in street. Louis. Didn't get laid, but did successfully get my bike stolen. I cut a hole in one of those stuffed souvenir Mickey Mouse gloves and tried to duck it. After that failed, I chucked it in a cabinet and finished the usual way. Weeks later I couldn't find the glove and my mom said she cleared out the closet of old items and gave the toys to my younger cousin. Had sex in a church parking lot and proceeded to get caught having sex with girlfriend in the backseat of car by the priest. Bought a 9-inch, 2-inch circumference diameter latex dildo online. Not only did I have to wait a week for it to ship to me, it was too big and it hurt. On top of that, I'm ducking allergic to latex. What the duck was I thinking? I was super in the mood but was trying to compromise the fact that I had to be at university all day. So I stick my vibrator in my backpack thinking I can sneak a quickie in somehow, and pretty much forget it's there. Has a study group later that day. Falls out of my bag as I'm taking stuff out. Mortifying. A 40-hour Greyhound bus ride to Minneapolis. Was a teenager and vacuuming my parents' vehicle when I learned of the benefits of suction. Luckily I didn't finish inside the tube. No way I want to look after baby vacuums. I broke my golden rule of only eating ass fresh out the shower. Had a different flavor profile. Started smoking to hang out with a girl I liked at age 18. Had a heart attack at 32. Never did get with that girl, but eventually got married. And almost left her a widow with 4 kids 5 and under. Showed a Singaporean girl my D on Skype and then got blackmailed. Agreed to her MMF. It was my wife's fantasy, newlyweds at the time, and she said if you say yes to this I'll let you do any crazy kinky thing to me one time. Drove 400 miles from Fairbanks to Anchorage in the middle of winter, in the middle on the night, in a Pinto, for a sure thing. Sent my mom a dick pic on accident meant for my so. Definite telesix without a condom. I think if people think about it and they've done this then that's the right answer, especially if it's a new partner. Just because you didn't catch anything or have a kid 9 months later doesn't mean it wasn't stupid. Me and my ex went to have a sex in the woods. Because when you're teenagers it can be hard to find a place to go. He dropped the condom in the dirt and I told him to put it on anyway. And that's the story of how I got my first UT. I was so scared to tell my mom because she's so Catholic and strict and I didn't want her to know I was having sex. I waited until I was peeing blood to tell her and then said I wasn't wiping properly, because in my mind that was better than her finding out I had sex. If you were wondering, I'm very hygienic and do actually wipe from front to back like you're supposed to. Once tried to put a geeble, fish, up my ass to see what it'd feel like. I lost my grip and it slipped the rest of the way inside. Pro tip, don't give something with a mind of its own access to your naughty bits. Why am I reading this while eating? Keeps scrolling. I jerked off in a sensory deprivation tank. Full stop. I biked 30 miles at 4 AM in the morning through a canyon freeway past to my ex's house. I nearly got hit by 2 semis and a Kia Soul. She got her pussy eaten. I got jacket for nearly dying for her pasty ass. Rushed the anal penetration. Paid for that one for the next few days. Backstory. I had gotten an abscess removed from my tailbone in a pretty big surgery just the week before. Doctor told me not to beat off. Since I had just gotten stitches, I was super horny after the first week and caved. It was the greatest nut of my life. But as soon as I finished I could feel the pain. I had torn open my skin that was just finally starting to heal. I bled for like 3 days straight after that. Entertained myself with porn over the car Bluetooth and used my handheld vibrator while I waited in the Taco Bell drive-thru on a particularly long road trip. Fingered myself on the school bus. Let this girl talk me into climbing her fence to climb into her bedroom to avoid her dad knowing so we could duck. After 6 she told me she was 17, not 18. I was in my early 20s. It was like 3 AM and I had work at 7 AM so I figured whatever. What's done is done and slept. Woke up to hearing her dad just outside the door getting ready for work. The horniness had worn off and I remember looking around the room like WTF am I doing? I snuck out quickly. Never saw her again. Jerked it while driving on the freeway. Climbed 4 stories on the outside of a high-rise just to get on her balcony to duck her. No fire escape on that side. Watched several members of my family raised in seriously sexually repressed religion, yay Mormons, marry people who weren't good matches for them for the reason that they had 5-8 years of pent-up hormones and they needed to get laid. Watched a couple of these relationships crash and burn pretty spectacularly after the initial hormone haze wore off. Public 6. 4 times to be exact. Yeah, it's trashy but I was 17 and hormones were going crazy. I wrote this in another one of these threads but Redditors seem to get a kick out of it. I was probably 12 or 13. I had just discovered beating my meat. Was on a family trip with mom, dad and younger brother. It was a very long car ride and being 13 years old, I was thinking about jacking off every minute of every day. So I started tugging on my Johnson in the back of the van. While my parents drove the car, I was under a sleeping bag blanket. But I grew and ducking tea my dad knew what the duck was up. Ducking it I am so ducking embarrassed about that memory. When I was done I even said out loud, this was like probably 20 minutes after finishing, can we stop somewhere soon? My D needs moisture. I have no clue what possessed me to utter those words. Ducking kill me now. You know those videos where Russian dudes dangle off construction equipment like 1,000 feet high? He was really hot. Like, really hot. Drop your pants on sight hot. He also had a fetish for ducking in high up places. We climbed to the top of a parking garage. He stood on the edge of the roof while I went down on him. It was actually pretty nice. But then a public safety officer loudly asked what was going on. It scared the shit out of me, and I bit. Startled, the guy fell off the roof of the garage, naked from the waist down, and broke several bones, literal and figurative. Needless to say, we never saw each other again. Full stop. Took the last light rail of the night to a really far part of town to meet some guy I met on the chat line. Botched hookup. Had to wake my dad up at 4 AM to come pick me up all the way across town. Jerked off into my drinking glass. Because it was gonna burst out and the glass was the only thing in my sight that could contain my waste. I didn't want to clean my bed wraps. Later after I cleaned myself, came back to my room and I was so thirsty. I completely forgot that there was semen inside my glass and I used it to drink water. That's how I eat, drink, my cum. For the first time. Last full week as a high school freshman, my girlfriend decided to pay me a visit before taking off because senior skip day. Lost my virginity and then some in the parking lot. I didn't expect anyone to notice, but everyone knew, and I was sent home for the last week of the school year. I don't think that hookups with shady men even count. I put a potato in my butt and rode the bike to my grandma. I used a bike pump to fill my butt with air. Would not recommend. I used a sound without knowing proper guidelines. Oh, the burning pain. And I think I accidentally shared a nice phallic-like object with my mum. Drove drunk. Not buzzed. I was wasted. When I went home the next day, I was surprised how well I parked. It was dumb and he wasn't worth the risk. Put a lint roller up my ass. I was looking at the responses to this and realized that there's a point in your life when sex stops being exclusively about being horny and starts being about feeling like someone thinks you're good enough. I somehow missed and ignored that I was driving on a flat rear left tire until friction melted it enough to come off my rim. I only realized this happened after the tire actually passed me as it gained speed going down a hill. While I was shocked to see one of my vehicle tires rolling past me, I was able to pull over and put on a spare with some difficulty. Since I was very late, I had to ring the doorbell for 20 minutes. Luckily my booty call woke up and all is well that ends well. A coconut. Kidding. In all honesty, it was sticking my D in crazy. Not once. Not twice. But like 4+ different crazies. You would have thought I learned my lesson. But apparently I tend to think with my D too often. Texted a friend at 3 AM begging for cuddles. It was about 2 AM after a full night of drinking. I brought a very attractive young lady home from the club. We get to the fun part and I realize I don't have a condom. At that age I'm just thinking duck it, but she isn't interested. I'm way too drunk to drive, but my best mate lives at the top of my street. I know he's home because he walked back from the club with us and I'm 99% sure he has a condom or 50. He's not answering his phone though. Duck it. I'll knock on his window. I run to his house barefoot. Shoes take too long to find in the dark while drunk. And I kick the skin off of the top of my big toe. Blood is pooping out, but luckily I'm too drunk to feel the pain. I get to his house and tap tap tap. No reply. He's passed out. Toe is throbbing now and I'm out of options. Plus the girl is waiting for me and she will probably leave soon if I don't hurry the duck up. His window is locked. Can't climb in. The back door. I open his parents' house back door and tiptoe inside. Apparently I'm not very stealthy when I'm drunk because his dad wakes up and the lights flick on. At this point I'm in the hallway. Time to bolt. I turn to run and slip on the tiles that are covered in my own bloody from the toe. Fell straight backwards like a Looney Tune on a banana peel. Smash the back of my head on the tiles and I'm out cold. I wake up to my friend's dad staring down at me in a mixture of anger and confusion. 20 minutes and a whole lot of "you ducking idiotess" and a few laughs later and they're driving me to the ER to get stitches in my head and a bandage for my toe. Never heard from her again. Banged my girl so hard I broke one of her ribs. At 17 my girlfriend had a much better looking sister. I got caught jerking it in their bathroom to the sister's bikini Facebook pics. TBH, I only dated the first girl to get close to her sister. It all ended good. I broke up with the one I was dating at 19 and ran back into her sister at 21 and have been dating 2 years now. Both of them are okay with how they just kinda passed me around. They still make jokes about it all the time. My current GF, the sister, says that is how she found out I had a crush on her. Talked to a girl on a beach, married her, had 3 kids. Actually, that worked out pretty well. I knew I did some ducked up things, but goddamn does this thread make me not want to have kids. Changing a nappy is nothing compared to realizing your son could jizz on anything. And your daughter could stick anything phallic shaped up herself. I need some bleach. Jerked it with neutral shoe polish in boot camp. Adapt and overcome. I was an idiotic 13-year-old kid who thought it was a good idea to stick my D in the barrel of a Nerf gun, the Vulcan LMG. It was almost perfect size for my D, but it took some time to pull it out. Needless to say, somehow enjoying the feeling of pulling out, and with enough curiosity, I came in a ducking Nerf gun barrel. Banged my brother's best friend. Cut open the top of a banana. Heated it up for about 30 seconds in the microwave. Squeezed out the banana and used the peel to masturbate. I was in grade 8. Told my best friend about this awesome idea the next day and he told my whole class. Got called banana boy for the rest of that school year. Not me, but I was present for this. I was a student athletic trainer in high school. One day before football practice, one of the players came into the athletic training room. On one of the counters, we had two almost identical looking jars side by side, skin lube and Tiger Balm. A couple of minutes after leaving the athletic training room, we hear screams from across the hall in the locker room. Apparently he'd grabbed Tiger Balm,